and you said they seem like garbage people.
They do, yeah.
Okay, now I would agree
Okay.
when it comes to Nick and Milo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're not good people. They're fucked up views. I think Kanye is a victim. He can be responsible of a self-destructive part, but not necessarily what comes from it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So like he can be self-destructive, but I don't think he should be blamed for what happens from that self-destruction. Like for example,
But he could have tried to do it on his own. He didn't need Destiny's help, right? This is what I mean is like it's a mutual thing where he wanted to go on there. He wanted the attention. He wanted, knowing full well of all the consequences, right? Knowing that there are going to be people that don't like your opinion, right? And DGG is a big community, so you're going to get a ton of pushback, right? And then when you had a community that disagreed with him, right? He felt slighted. Before you enjoy this extremely awesome conversation that Barely Political and I had, could you do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button? We're trying to get those views up because I need more dopamine hits for my brain, okay? It's like a drug at this fucking point, okay? I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Enjoy the conversation. Ooh. How's it going, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Hey, our episode did pretty well, man.
Yeah, did it?
Well, it didn't do too well on YouTube. It did well on Apple and Spotify. I think Spotify got something like 200 listens.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, right on.
Yeah. So we did it.
Nice. I will expect the royalty check in the mail at any day now.
You can get 0.
Yeah, based. That's what I get anyway, so I'm not losing out on anything. Haha, win-win for me.
All right, so phone to pick. Okay.
Okay.
Just saw your tweet.
Oh boy.
You don't want to talk about Ye, Nick, or Milo.
Yeah.
And you said they seem like garbage people.
They do, yeah.
Okay, now I would agree.
Okay.
When it comes to Nick and Milo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're not good people. They're fucked up views. I think Kanye is a victim. I'm gonna be honest here. I don't think he's necessarily a bad person.
Okay.
Okay. So I think the way we should do this is why do you think that he's garbage? And we can go from there.
Do you think even if you're being like, because I assume you think he's being abused because he has like mental health issues?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Do you think he's at all responsible for any of the mental health issues that he has?
Yes, 100% he's responsible.
Okay.
But I think someone can be self-destructive without being like necessarily garbage.
I would agree. When does the self-destructive portion become enabling on other people's parts? Like how much responsibility do we put on like Yi for kind of enabling like Sneeko, Milo, and Nick Fuentes? Like, do you think he owns any responsibility for enabling them in kind of like this realm they find themselves in?
Okay, can I have a second?
Oh yeah, take all the time you need. Take all the time you need.
All right. I think he can be responsible of a self-destructive part, but not necessarily what comes from it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So like he can be self-destructive, but I don't think he should be blamed for what happens from that self-destruction. Like for example, we shouldn't call him garbage because of, well, we can call his views garbage. I think the thing is, Kanye to me, I've always been following him. I'm a big fan, not of his like political beliefs, but like of him. And he's never seemed like a bad person. He always seems like he feels like he's doing the right thing. But obviously, with the whole bipolar shit, him refusing to take meds, being self-destructive and stuff, like that's shitty. I don't think that makes him garbage as a person.
Okay, well, I don't.
If you get me.
Yeah, I don't think that's not what makes him garbage, in my opinion. The enabling of like Nick Fuentes and Sneeko is what makes him a garbage person, in my opinion. And I think there is some culpability on his end for like enabling them, right? In the same way that there would be, let's say you had like a husband that was like an alcoholic, right? and then he was enabling, like he was always drunk, and then he was kind of like pushing his kids to do really stupid shit with their lives. I would say that the dad is, while he is like engaging in self-destructive behavior, I would say he's enabling his son for bad behavior, and he shares part of that responsibility. Even if let's say even if the son is like of age, like 17, 18 years old, right? I would still say that the dad still has a part to play and share some of that blame for enabling that kid.
Okay, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But I feel like the difference there is even if he's an alcoholic, he's still choosing. You're not born an well, you might be born like.
I was gonna say careful. There's a lot of things that go into alcoholism, and there are like addiction is like habit forming, right? So when we talk about like, and realistically, not taking medication for like bipolarism is a little bit of habit forming too, because a lot of things that kind of like go with taking your mental health, like your medication for your mental health issues, becomes habitual, and you have to take it even if you feel better. Which is kind of like part of the habit cycle. So just be careful. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's why I clarified quickly, because obviously it's a very complex issue. But what I mean there is, while you may be born with like a tendency to be like more addictive to stuff, right? You're not born being an alcoholic. You might be born like with a, let's call it like a higher likelihood to become an alcoholic, but you're not born an alcoholic. Whereas with bipolar, you're born bipolar. And I think something we've got to look at is his activity cycles. Like he's obviously in a manic phase, so that's like clear, right?
Well, I actually don't know about the being born with like bipolar, because this might be something that you develop later in life with like other issues that you have. It could be that like something goes wrong in your brain later on in life that causes you to be bipolar, only because you engaged in a certain, like, even have mental health issues in general because you engaged in a certain activity that if you wouldn't engaged in that activity, you would have had that mental health issue. I don't know how much like, I don't know how like for sure you are if you're like born. Like I'm sure genes obviously play a part in it, but I don't know if it's like you're just always destined to have like bipolar disorder, or if it's only sometimes through like markers and things in your genes that, you know, when you're exposed to like things in your environment. So
okay, from my understanding, because I've read a lot into
yeah, by all means, I could tell. Like I said, I don't know enough about it, but yes, please.
Okay, so I think the current understanding now, obviously, mental health, we don't really know jack shit realistically. Like,
yeah,
it's the brain; it's very confusing. But I feel from what I've read, the current understanding is it's definitely genetics. Like you can see in families, like some families will have more mental illness, others won't. It's definitely genetical. But I think the cause of it, the current understanding, is like chemical imbalances, like actually in the brain.
Oh, okay.
Now that 100% could be triggered by something. So say, I wouldn't be surprised. This is a complete guess here, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could probably form like bipolar, like the bipolar disorder, through like heavy drug abuse.
Yeah, probably.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Well, that's what was going to be my question, was like, what's the difference between like a natural like gene chemical imbalance and like somebody using drugs for a chemical imbalance? So,
well,
one is inflicted by choice, but they're the same outcome, right?
Well, because I feel like choice is important when you're looking at like mental illness. I feel like that's pretty important.
I think choice is like important on realizing how that person got there, but I think the outcomes are the same, right? Like somebody with a chemical imbalance due to drugs that is doing like what Kanye's doing. Would we hold them to like a lesser standard or a greater standard?
Sorry, I was looking at it from another angle.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, we probably shouldn't hold them to a different standard, but I think we can be more lenient towards the person who was born with it, because another thing with like all of these mental illnesses is like SSRIs. I can't fucking remember what the other thing's called. I can't remember what it's called. Another drug they take for when it's in a manic phase. These things like that, they don't work for like 70% of people. At least not in a way where it makes them feel normal. So I guess if someone was born with this, because from what I know about Kanye, I think it started to get bad after his mother died, which was like 2011, 2012, can't remember. It was fairly recent. Let me Google it. When did this one? When did? Oh, 2007. I was way off. Jesus.
Quite some time ago.
Hold on. What am I thinking?
Was that when his Kim Kardashian left him?
What? 2012?
Oh no, when I thought when he had like some of the bigger issues, I thought it was when his wife left him, but or when they split or something like that. But
for sure, he's gone into overdrive, right?
Yeah,
100%. I think ever since he announced presidency, I think that's when it's like he probably stopped taking his drugs.
Well, yeah, because I know that
I'm talking like 20 here.
Yeah, because they were talking about there was like people around him urging him to take his drugs, and he's like, "No, I don't want to take it. If they're telling me to take it, it's probably not good." And it's like, fuck, that's not a good place to be. that's not good. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean is, does that necessarily make him like a garbage person? Because I don't. Now, there's definitely accountability. I feel like Nick is a garbage person because he's smart, and I feel like he kind of knows what he's saying is a little bit bullshit.
Oh,
but
for
he
sure.
Says it anyway.
Yeah,
and that's what makes him. Same with Milo. Like.
Oh, for sure. Milo's 100%. Oh, he's 100% playing a character. Yeah, for sure.
Yay, I don't think he is. I think. So, like, for example, let's do another analogy here. Say you have a white nationalist, okay? Are they necessarily a garbage person because they hold them views? Or can we be, like, sympathetic to how they got to those views? The meat they take in.
For sure, right?
That stuff.
Yeah, I'm not, and that's the thing, is I'm not shitting on him for any ideas that he's holding, right? I'm more shitting in the idea that he's engaging in this bad behavior, right? And I understand what you're trying to say, that the totality of is it ye or yay?
Yay.
Yay, of course, okay. Because, like, I understand the totality of his character might not be that he is a garbage person, but at this point in time, in the actions that he is engaging in, he is quickly headed down the path of a garbage person. Because I think that there is some culpability. Because let's say this. Let's say Yi throws all his weight behind Nick Fuentes, okay? And because he doesn't make it for this presidential thing, but he wants to continue on, he wants to push for Nick to run for office or something. At what point would you look at the totality of Ye and say, this person is now becoming a garbage person?
I think once he stops showing signs of mania. Because he's clearly manic.
So you would say once he's taking his medication, if he's still on board?
No, just when he's out of the phase of mania. Like, it's very clear, like, you know, he's announced another album. You can tell, like, if you follow him, you can tell, like, when he's going through, like, the phases, right? Like, he might just disappear off the earth for, like, 3 months, and then he'll come over, you know, announce presidency, do all of this shit. I think if he carries this on for, like, longer than, like, a few months, I think then we can look at him and be like, okay, maybe this isn't bipolar. Maybe he actually is just a bit of a cunt.
Oh, interesting. You're saying once the manic episode is passed and he's in like in a different state of mind, if he's continuing on with the thought process that he has, then you're saying you would pull the trigger.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, I can respect that.
Okay. So in conclusion, would you agree that Kanye is one of the greatest people alive?
Listen, I enjoyed his younger work. God, what was the album? It's got the red cover on it. Honestly, God, I'm terrible with names.
My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasies?
Yeah, I was listening to some stuff that Destiny was saying, and I was like, I've never really listened to the albums before. So
really good.
Yeah, it was really good. There's a couple of them that are really good. They're really nice pieces. Yeah.
His debut album?
I don't believe so. I haven't listened to a ton of them.
Oh, when I tell you that is probably my favorite album of all time.
Yeah.
So good, so good.
And
sorry, Karen.
and I get it, especially if you're like a fan. I've even had this thing in the past, like condemning other streamers and stuff, calling them, you know, bad people or garbage people. But I think it's one of those things that I see where your line in the sand is. But I don't like the idea that somebody could have like a manic episode like this, where we're aware that, like, because, like, here's the thing: if Kanye West was in a super manic episode, and he, you know, let's say he like sexually assaulted somebody, do you think he's still like culpable? Would you call him a garbage person for doing that, even though he was in a manic state?
Yes, because I think that crosses boundary. The second you actually start physically doing stuff, I feel like that's more of a sign of like morals and shit, right?
Okay.
But, like, for example, say let's use a really egregious example. Let's use a school shooter.
Okay.
What if they were manic and they didn't know what was going on? They're like, it feels like MDMA. I've heard, like ecstasy. It's like crazy, right?
Some of them can be,
Apparently it
depending on how like manic and depressive you are. It can for some people. Yep.
So, do we hold that person? But I think the difference is, okay, hold on. I need to think about this to get
Yeah, no worries.
my thoughts out.
Yeah.
I'm jumping between like three
No,
things.
take your time, man. You got all the time in the world.
Okay, right. I think the second you start physically affecting people, I think that's different. And this kind of ties into, like, we won't go into it, but ties into my thoughts on free speech. I don't think words necessarily make you a bad person unless they are like specifically targeting like a single person.
Okay.
Or like there's clear bad faith. It's like, for example, I'm sure you've heard all of this because I think you do watch Destiny, right?
I do. Yeah. Oh yeah. Big sycophant. So.
All right. So he had a conversation with ABBA, and I mean, ABBA stocks went down massively after it.
Ooh, rough.
I think ABBA was making a good point, just not in that context. So, for example, in his experience, like Kanye's independent experience, in his eyes, the Jews do rule everything, right? That's his experience in life.
For Ye?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, even though that's obviously wrong, saying like a certain group of people owns everything, his experience is that. And I forgot how I was going to tie this in, but I think that should be probably.
I mean, that is
I've completely forgotten the original point.
That's okay. It is an interesting road to walk down. My question would be then, why is it that the actions that he would be taking outside of a manic episode are bad, but the actions inside of the manic episode, because he'd be doing the same actions, right? He'd be supporting Nick Fuentes and Milo. It seemed like I understand, like, you kind of use the manic as like a, I don't want to, like, the only word I can think of is justification, but it's excuse. Yeah, excuse is a better word. Yeah. I'm guessing, but I guess my question is, the actions are the same. It's still like affecting people. Why does it all of a sudden become bad? Like, honestly, from your point of view, I would say that if you're going to go with the actions and the free speech are okay when he's, just in general. I don't think you should take much issue if he's in or out of a manic state. It should be almost irrelevant for you. I
think he's doing it in a bad faith way.
Oh, okay. You're saying if he was more honest?
No, I think he's being completely honest.
Okay.
I don't think he's like before, like Nick and I'm just getting a tweet.
Okay, I guess here's the question: do you think he would go out of his way to seek these two out, or do you think the only reason is because they're taking advantage of him due to the manic episode?
I think I'm pretty sure they're taking advantage of him, no?
Okay.
Because I think Milo was introduced by a third party, and then Nick was introduced by Milo.
Oh, okay.
From my understanding. So yeah, I do think he's getting taken advantage of. Now, obviously, we can probably say he's maybe a garbage person during this manic phase, but I'm not sure if we can apply that to him as a person, because I don't. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe he is just really dishonest, but he doesn't seem dishonest to me. Like, he seems to believe what he's saying. And did you see that clip of him like walking out of Tim Pool interview?
Yeah, and see the thing is like I would believe that Ye legitly believes what he says.
Yeah.
I don't think I would never second guess that in a heartbeat. But I think in some ways it's a lot worse, in some ways it's a lot better. In one way it's a lot worse, is like, goddamn, like, he actually believes this shit, right? But I would rather that, like, people be upfront and honest about it. So it definitely does put it in a little bit of a weird light. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes, though, it is kind of good to to start pointing out people's actions as being like good or bad or kind of garbage. Like, what are you doing? But I can understand. I can understand your. Yeah, I understand your disagreement with the tweet. So
fair enough. I think we covered everything there. I won't lie.
Alrighty. Any other
Can I
tweets?
ask you an opinion on something?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm fucking game. This is what I'm doing today. So go away.
Lovely. Okay, so I've been working on a Ukraine video.
Okay.
Called An Alternative View on Ukraine.
Okay.
And basically the question that I asked. Now I'm going to go on a rant for about 2 minutes because I need a lot of like context here.
Okay.
To the question. So basically, I did a research stream about 2 weeks ago and I've been working on the script. We're looking, I say we, I'm looking into the economic impact on Europe and the rest of the world by supporting Ukraine.
Okay.
Because Europe's getting like super fucked economically by this war. You know, obviously Russia's done a lot of like, you know, like the natural gas embargo, I guess you'd call it. Like, you know, they've stopped trading with them. But another thing which I actually found out was they're stopping rail freighters, like rail cargo, from going through Russia.
Okay.
And that's increasing everything because that's like a lot of stuff comes through Russia, like from China.
Oh, for sure.
So, I think. Hold on, I'm gonna get it up real quick. Give me 2 seconds because I can't remember the statistics right off my head.
Okay.
And the reason I wanted to ask you this is it kind of ties into that whole question about Canada and letting people out of their country. So I thought it'd be good to ask you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So it's reducing global GDP by about 1%, 1.5%, and increasing global inflation by 1.3%. And this is even bigger in like European countries, obviously because they're closer to the war, and also because of the freighter stuff and all of that. Using this study, I can't. I'm gonna have to go over it in the video, but basically they did like this comprehensive study of the economics, and is the worst case. The bump from the Ukraine war was the worst bump in the past 50 years. Worse than like the Iraq war, worse than the Gulf War. Like it was pretty fucking bad. And obviously we're just coming out of a global recession because of COVID, right? Like super fucked. So I guess my question, which I'm going to be proposing in the answer, is how much should a country value its own citizens' lifestyles over another country's citizens' lives, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an interesting question to ask. Something that would be kind of neat for you to not necessarily have in the video, but maybe ponder a little bit, and maybe you can tie it in. What do you think the economic situation would have been if we just would have let Russia take over Ukraine?
See, that's a really interesting. Someone else asked me this.
Yeah.
And I think in one study I was reading, I haven't fucking written it down or anything. They basically predicted that it wouldn't be as bad, but it would still be pretty bad. Because Ukraine doesn't provide that much to Europe. They do a lot of corn and stuff, so probably you'd see like a bit of a food increase.
Well, I mean,
like price.
That's assuming that no other countries take was that assuming no other countries take like economic sanctions, like seek to have other issues, like seek to have other battles. Yeah, like that's like probably like a skim of the cream. That
for sure. It's just so hard to predict.
It is. It is really hard. Yeah, so that's why I find your question interesting, but I think it has to be like, I think for like, well, obviously people consuming it, I think would need to like maybe keep that idea in mind, because I think there would be a lot.
Shut that at the end.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people would agree with you that like, yeah, where does the line draw for? And I'd probably agree there probably is some like line of like, if they were coming to my house and asking me to like give my 6-year-old son up for the military, I probably wouldn't go along with that, right?
Right.
And I think everybody obviously like my line isn't there, but everybody has a line. But it is an interesting question to kind of ask and ponder. So. Yeah,
I think as well as that, I mainly just want to hit the economic point because I feel like it's pretty cut and dry. I feel like most people would agree with not really going to send our people over to fight in that war. And most people would be against that unless it was like a proper ally. So like if Canada got invaded, you'd probably see like UK people go over there and US people go over there.
Oh, for sure.
But for like Ukraine, where Ukraine, like, I mean, I don't want to be like a Russia apologist here, but realistically, like, this game looks really interesting. You're playing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It is. It's so much fun.
Isn't it like just before we go into it? Isn't it like almost like a D&D type thing?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a D&D style point style game where you learn skills, get armor, and kind of like create your characters around it. So I got one bowman and I got a scoundrel. So I got a close up fighter and a far away.
Oh,
so
sick.
yeah,
yeah, no, it looks cool. I've always heard of it, but never seen it. Yeah, sorry. Going back to it, not to like repeat like Russian apologist talking points, but Ukraine, you know, was a really corrupt country. Like, Ukraine was not a good country, and obviously that doesn't justify Russia invading it, but I think that should be taken into account. Whereas, like,
well, to be fair,
how much of an asset is it?
That's fair. I mean, to be fair, they were definitely making strides.
Oh, for sure, they
yeah.
were moving in the right direction. But what I mean is, it was still like one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just the issue is, like, I think in this question, I think in this video, I'm not even going to answer that question. The idea of like how much do we value? I'm just going to put some things out there and just be like food for thought, because I don't think I can answer it. It's such a hard philosophical question.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of like that idea of like video essays as instead of giving like people how they should think about. I think giving people more like food of thought, the things to consider, I think is an interesting. I consider it a more interesting genre.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah. I don't know if other people find it as popular, but I think more people should. I think it is. I think it's good questions to ask yourself, like shit. But you know,
it makes you think about like where your views lie and stuff, right?
Yeah.
How you get to your views, which I think is more interesting than the views normally.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, I don't know. I guess like a lot of people kind of maybe want to parrot or just kind of want to have the information, like kind of have the problem solved already. And I think the giving people the room to kind of think for themselves, I think, is probably exactly what the online space needs. But it could be that our diets are all too fatty.
Online politics.
Yeah.
Single-handedly.
Based. Let's go.
And another thing I just quickly wanted to ask, I'll head out soon, don't worry.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Is what do you think about Russian nuclear threats? At what point do we pull out if they threaten it too much? Because this is going to sound like me accusing you, but I haven't heard your views on this yet, so I don't know. But a lot of American people, like, or at least people in like the Americas who I talk to, they're like, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, oh, they're not actually going to use nukes. When you're like, you know, like right next to Russia.
Yeah.
I know the UK isn't really right next to Russia, but we're fucking pretty close.
That's fucking scary
It's a bit
distance,
more
man.
scary.
Yeah, fuck that shit. It's
not
fucking scary. No, man, I don't want, like, I personally don't. I like nuclear power. I fucking hate nukes. That shit is like ultra scary shit to me. I think I personally don't want to be nuked. I don't think other people want to be nuked. Russia's probably, yeah, Russia's pretty fucking crazy. Like, they do some pretty wild shit that most guys, you'd be like, oh, what country wouldn't do that, or people wouldn't do that, and then you hear stories and you're like, oh, like,
maybe they will.
Yeah, maybe they will, and it's like, okay, well, that's not good. So I wouldn't throw it past them to do something like that. Although my guess is that they don't want to get nuked either, right? Like, it is that kind of mutually assured thing.
Mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, I think as crazy as Putin is, because he's got like daughters and shit too, doesn't he? Or a daughter, and he's
realistically, does he have to worry about dying in a nuclear warfare?
Well, I mean, you never know, right? Like, if depending on how many nukes get fired, yeah. I mean, I would assume if you're pressing the button, you just kind of assumed you're going to get nuked off the fucking planet too. And I think that consideration definitely.
At least enough damage is done to the world where even if you do survive, like, what's the point?
What's the fucking point? Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. You're like the king. You're the king of dust. And like from some of the Reddit, now it might have changed, but I know from listening to like some of the speeches and shit he gave, you know, and you know the reasons they wanted to do it. It seems like he wants to do more like unification, or like have the land to actually use it, let alone just like blasting it to fucking pits.
Scorch earth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? People are fucking wild, and when they get desperate and backed into corners and shit like that, it can make people do some pretty wild shit. But overall, I'm fucking terrified of nukes. I think they're pretty spooky. So
yeah, and well, I appreciate that view, because I feel like a lot of, like I said, like a lot of, let's say North Americans, I actually haven't spoken to many South Americans about it, are very, maybe not ignorant, but just kind of like blue pilled on it. Like ignorance is bliss. Like they just don't believe it will happen.
Yeah.
But like, I can't imagine what it's like being like in Poland. Or
Oh
Romania at
fuck
the
yeah.
moment.
Nope.
Yeah, it must be fucking
Oh, it must be-
petrifying whenever you see it.
Oh, for sure. And like every day, like you don't know. They keep threatening if you see like news coverage around it. It'd be terrifying.
Well, I
like
remember. Do you remember when, like a couple of weeks ago, when that missile hit Poland?
oh yes, yes.
I didn't sleep that night, man. I was absolutely shitting it because I was like, "Fuck, me, this is this. If anything's gonna start it, this could be it." You know. But realistically, I knew nothing was probably gonna come to it, even if it was a Russian missile. But
But man, you never know. Like this, it's always that little thought in the back of your head. You're like, maybe. You know, just maybe. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
it's just the chance which is scary rather than the actual probability. The idea that it could happen is like, fuck me, man. Like, realistically, I probably should have gone to sleep though. Would have made it easy.
Would have made it easy, but man, like this. Sometimes there's just things that our brains don't let us do for whatever reason.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no worries, man.
I may actually write it down. I actually forgot to write that down last time. About 50. Oh, shit. Right. Let me think. What other discourses there? I feel like we haven't spoken in a while, so
We haven't, no.
might as well catch up. That's alright, of course. Don't want to step on toes. Let me think. I've been following news, man. I've been doing uni work, so
Yeah, man. I've
quite
been
behind on everything.
I've been kind of following a little bit of drama, a little bit of news. It hasn't. I don't know. I'm kind of getting away from anything politics related to some degree. Man, y'all motherfuckers are crazy. Fuck that shit. It's not even fun anymore.
As a Destiny sicko fan, I have actually got a question for you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What do you think about that Mr. Girl stuff? Because I actually think.
That stuff's fucking wild.
Do you think he has a point?
So, I think that he has a point that larger streamers can absolutely abuse the orbiters that they have. 100%,
Sure, yeah.
It can happen. We've seen it happen. We know just by pure human nature that there's a very likelihood that would happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely fair to question when, especially when sexual like misconduct is rampant in online spaces and in particularly the streaming world. However, I don't think that he has a point with Destiny, and that is like somebody that's been a fan and kept up with it a little bit and kind of heard like some of the way this talked, some of the way other people have responded to it. Obviously, it's all third party outsider looking in. I'd be shocked if he came forward with something that was even remotely credible. But I think he does have a good point, but he's just going about having that conversation or doing the shit, I think, in the really, really wrong way. But that be people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you agree with him when he was saying like they basically work for Destiny? And there's
No,
almost
that's
like a.
It's
Oh,
so.
I super agree with that.
Do you? Okay, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree it's a symbiotic relationship, but I don't think it's like work for, right? Like especially if you've never signed contracts, if there's no actual there's no physical payments changing hands, because at that point then like I work for like my mother-in-law, right? Like I work for her, right? Because I'm gonna do things for her, and in turn she's gonna do things for me. And I might hold more power over her just because I'm younger, I can make more money, and I have a little more like attention on the outside world, right? Like, is it really fair to say she works for me or I work for her? Probably not, right? It's like a symbiotic relationship, so that's why I don't think it's like it's a worker boss. Like the dynamic is somewhat the same, but only because there's differences in clout, right? If there was no difference in clout, there'd be no employer-worker relationship because they would be 100% equal across the board, right? The difference is just Mr. Girl has a smaller audience, which I think is a weird like metric for, kind kind of like employee worker relationship. Because like I have a curious question: if Mr. Girl made or had more money than Destiny, does Mr. Girl then become the boss just because he doesn't have more clout?
Yes, I actually do.
Interesting.
Can I phrase it in a different way from like how I'm kind of looking at it?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
I don't think I'm saying most here, as in probably about 70% of the Destiny orbiters would have a job without Destiny. Like the common ones, right? Talking like Mr. Gell, maybe not Cherry, but like you know who I'm talking about, right?
You don't think like... Okay, interesting.
So in a way, Destiny is almost like a symbolic boss to him, where it's like if they can't get on the Destiny show, especially like let's just use Max for an example. Right? It's the same thing like Kanye. Let's look at it from his point of view. Admittedly, his career wasn't destroyed because of Destiny. It was destroyed because of Cozy, wasn't it? Or like some raid or something. Got his YouTube banned, whatever.
Oh yeah. Big Tech and them all like flagging his YouTube account.
Yeah. So from his point of view, now obviously Destiny didn't destroy that, but after that got destroyed, arguably Destiny is now his symbolic boss, right? Like without being able to go on Destiny stream, his career is going to be over, and we probably will see that. Like he's going to disappear soon, because no one. I don't know what he streams on now. Is it Rumble or something?
No, you probably. Yeah.
There's no like discoverability on those platforms. Like,
well, and he's on Twitter, but that's over. Yeah, but that's not, none of that's Destiny's fault. Nor would that be like if he didn't lose his YouTube channel, would they still have the employee boss relationship if he was off making it on his own?
What do you mean? No, he wouldn't.
So why is it then? Because then could you say that I could potentially be Mr. Girl's boss as well if I have him on my stream, even though I have no clout?
No, because he's not
why?
really,
he doesn't.
He's not the contingent person on whether or not he has a career.
But I would, because I have the YouTube channel that he could then come on and like, if I just sat here and it was like, no, it's my YouTube channel, and he just did his spiel every night, I gave no pushback. Am I then his boss?
Can he make a career out of being? No offense, like compared to like Destiny, can he make a career like being on your channel?
Well, he can make a career out of it. He's just not going to make any. He's just not going to make any money out of it.
Right, so it's not really a career, right? Like
yeah, but it's not. It's realistic. Okay, we say it's Destiny's platform as it's his stream, but it's still YouTube. YouTube's the one making the money for him. Destiny isn't.
Yeah, but like there's probably quite a bit of overlap, right, between
Yeah, but okay, but if he's able to stream elsewhere, which he is, right? He's streaming on wherever. Why doesn't the fans just go with him?
Because I think we're seeing it happen now. Like his views have dropped quite a bit because of all of this drama. Because
of his own because of his own actions, right?
For sure. But
yeah.
This was like the point he was making before everything happened, right? Is like if you're on Destiny's bad books,
well, no, hang on,
career is over, and that's super.
But these people aren't leaving because they don't want to be on Destiny's bad books, because they were sticking around when he was still fighting. Now they're starting to leave because they don't like what Max is doing.
Do you think the demonization of Mr. Girl is contributing to like his lack of viewers?
No, not at all.
Like,
I think mostly this has to do with a lot of his own actions.
Really?
Okay. Here's an interesting question. When can the viewers start to leave where you're going to blame it for his own actions?
Never.
Never? So there is nothing. So that I was going to say that man could eat a child on stream, and you're like, hey, listen, that's Destiny's fault. Okay, that's a Giga Chad move. I'm not going to lie. That was going to be like, damn.
Now you make a good point there, and I'll probably have to think about that. But I think I guess we just disagree, because I feel like the demonization has probably killed his viewership by quite a bit. Because like,
but why did
like Destiny made his career, right? Realistically, Mr. Girl's career.
I think he gave him space on his stream to maybe make a career, but he could have tried to do it on his own. He didn't need Destiny's help, right? This is what I mean, is like it's a mutual thing where he wanted to go on there. He wanted the attention. He wanted, knowing full well of all the consequences, right? Knowing that there are going to be people that don't like your opinion, right? And DGG is a big community, so you're going to get a ton of pushback, right? And then when you had a community that disagreed with him, right? He felt slighted. So that's what I mean. Like, when does...
I can see your point.
Yeah.
And you probably have convinced me a little bit.
Yeah.
But would you at least agree that there's like a very potentially, I'm not saying it is.
Oh, there's probably for sure people that have
toxic.
left. Yeah, there's probably people
No,
for sure that.
wait.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Potentially like toxic relationship between Destiny and his orbiters because of the power imbalance.
What do you think is toxic?
I'm not saying it necessarily is, but I'm saying, can you agree that there's a big chance for it to be abused?
Well, I mean, there's a big chance, but that doesn't mean he's done it. I already agreed with you that there's an ability to have like toxic relationships in the orbit with bigger streamers and smaller orbiters. But then my next question would be, okay, I agree. I already agreed with that. Now how has Destiny used it in like a toxic way? Because that is the claim kind of levied, is that it's been done in a toxic way.
Right. Okay. Do you think?
No, I don't think at all. Got me.
Do you think that the power imbalance is necessarily toxic, even if it's not been used in a toxic way? Because even if you're aware of a power imbalance, it can still affect your actions.
No, because like me and my wife have power imbalances that aren't toxic, just in and of itself being a power imbalance. I would have to abuse that power imbalance, right? Because like you can never escape a power imbalance of any kind. There's always one. Nobody is like truly on the same power level, right? There's always going to be something that sets me apart from you from me, you from my wife, me from my wife, me from my son, like me from people I meet on the street. It could be strength, size, money. There's always going to be there's like, I would say a 0.001% chance or whatever trillion % chance that we're ever going to be on equal footing, right? So knowing that a power imbalance is always going to exist, it's always going to have the ability to be toxic. So therefore, like, I don't think we could consider all power balances like inherently toxic. So I think somebody has to do something to abuse that power imbalance.
Do you think it could encourage unauthenticity? So, for example...
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's like a fucking motorbike right outside the window. So, like, for example, if I ever got Destiny into an interview, I'd be the nicest motherfucker in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I want to not please him, but make sure... okay, that was a bad word. Okay, got who I was talking to. Maybe not like please him, but stay on his good side.
Yeah, for sure.
So, do you not think that's toxic?
No, not at all.
Not by virtue of what Destiny's doing, but just by virtue of what is happening.
Not at all. I interact with a ton of people that have like that have power imbalances with me, and I still want to keep on their good side, because it could be that I don't want the fight because I'm not necessarily looking for a fight, right? It could be that we actually don't have anything to fight about, and any hostility that I give across that is like unwarranted or undue might be misconstrued not as like a meme, but as like me actually being hostile. And it could be that like, yeah, I knowing that there are going to be like large amounts of people. Like if I walk into a stadium, right, and you put a microphone up to my mouth, I have to understand that like a portion of those people are gonna fucking hate me no matter what I do. Always gonna fucking exist, right? I could be the nicest motherfucker. I could walk up there and be like, you know what? I look after my mom. I look after my kids. Like I spend all this time. Like I do charity work. Like, you know, I'm like, there's some guys, you know, I'm just fucking blessing them each day. There's gonna be somebody in that stand that will look at me and be like, well, that guy's actually like a piece of shit. He didn't talk about how beautiful his wife is. Like, what a fucking asshole. He blessed all these other things and totally ignored his wife, right? Like, there's gonna be those people, right?
Yeah.
So I think like keeping on people's good graces looks a lot different for a lot of different people. It could be that like keeping with Destiny's good graces is you challenge him quite profusely, knowing that it might rile up his community because you have some like disagreements with him, but you're cordial with him, but his community just doesn't enjoy it, or they just don't like you for some reason, right? So you could be in good terms with Destiny, but the community still hates you. So I don't think that's like inherently toxic. I think there's ways that it could be toxic, right? Like if you're, let's say you have somebody, I'll use Demon Mama for example, okay? I don't particularly like her content. I would have a very, very tough time being nice because I do think she has like more toxic aspects of her community, but I would placate that person nice to avoid those super toxic aspects. And that
be nice to Nick Winters.
Would I be nice to
genuine
Nick?
Question, because obviously like his, I feel like his audience isn't actually all that bad, but him as a person is obviously bad. Like his most of his like his audience is just like white young males. Like
I would now obviously the idealistic part of me would want to say I would match energy for energy, or be a little bit more towards the egg, you know, oh my god.
You got this.
Yeah, hang on, I'm thinking about it. Antagonistic side. There we go. Jesus. But there's probably a part of me that would be placating to him, to avoid kind of like some of the pushback. But even actually, it might even be that I don't placate him and I'm actually aggressive with him more because I might get less negative feedback depending on what side of the internet I'm looking at, right? It could be that I'm super aggressive with him and I get a ton of praise from lefties, but I get a ton of shit from righties. And it could be that I placate him and I get a ton of praise from righties and a ton of shit from lefties, right? On the depending on where the internet sphere it is. So yeah, I mean, these are always things to think about. These are always consequences of any action you're going to take, right? There's always going to be pluses or minuses, and really the question is sometimes for yourself when you're making decisions, it isn't so much do the positives outweigh the negatives, because sometimes they don't, but you still want to do it anyways. It's right. The question is, can you deal with the consequences of the action of the choice that you're making? So
okay, so just to question you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just so I know I've got your view correct. Yep. Your point of view is that while these things aren't necessarily toxic, the power balances, because the person is acting on their own conscience to join the call and they know what can happen, it's not Destiny's fault.
Yeah, if that's the only thing they're doing, if they're willingly jumping into him, knowing like all those consequences, yeah, I would say it's on the other person. Now it would be a little bit different if like Destiny was like DMing Max and Max is like, no, I don't want to go on, and Destiny's like, no, you need to get the fuck on my show right now, or I'm never fucking talking to you again. If he was doing shit like that, I would be 100% in your camp, and I'd be like, that is uber fucked. Okay. Yeah, and then we need it, and then the community needs to have a new conversation about shit like that. But I don't think it's at that level. So. Okay,
that's fair enough. I think you've convinced me.
Based man.
Max.
Yeah. Get on board. Hell yeah, DGG for life. Welcome, inshallah, brother.
Hey, I just managed to get into the group chat, so I'm a big boy now.
Based.
Even though I hardly watched it.
Yeah, we got some Destiny sycophants. They're all good people though. They're all pretty chill.
Oh yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite excited though because I want to. So, Double Shine, the guy I interviewed before you, was also like quite a big Destiny fan.
Yep.
So I think for my third interview, I've got to go for like a socialist or something.
Hell yeah, you got to find a Vosh fan, man.
True. Yeah. I need to. The issue is like Vosh fans. I just feel like they don't exist. It's like the way Destiny fans do. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's true.
A lot of, like you're like approaching like 1K followers, right? Like Double Shine has 300. I feel like there's not many people. They're either massive or tiny. I feel like.
Yeah, that's fuck. That's like another thing. It is kind of sad, Snowy. It is kind of weird seeing like people like demonize GGG and stuff like this, but then you actually like exist with you interact with any of the core members that are in these spaces, and they're all usually pretty fucking decent people. Like I haven't
had a bad interaction. I've had one bad interaction.
Yeah,
that person was retarded, so fucking.
Yeah, and like it's just so counterintuitive. But I've had Vosh fans throw shade at me. I've had actual Jake fans. Like I one time, you know who actual Jake is?
Is he the corn?
Yeah, he's the corn dude.
Yeah. What's going on there?
So I had an interaction where he quote tweeted me for something. It was something. It was kind of mundane. It was just like we were talking about. I think it was the disclosing if you have a penis as a transgender woman, and I was like, yeah, some people have sexual preferences. 100%. They're just not into dicks. You know, it's not even that it's rape or sexual assault. It's just some people aren't into dicks, and if they're not into dicks, they're not into dicks. Like, what are you gonna do? Doesn't matter if it's on a girl or boy, or guy or woman, doesn't matter. They're just not into him.
Because this guy got 200,000 tweets. Jesus.
Wait, actual
Sorry,
Jake?
Capcom,
No
but
shot.
Fucking hell. He's got 194,000 tweets. But he
Damn,
needs to go
I fucking thought I tweeted a lot. Holy shit.
Redacts every month. I think I'm sitting around about 2,000.
Yeah, I wanted to figure out that redact, but I also didn't mind people going through some of my old tweets.
I just do it because whenever I do it, I seem to gain like $5. I don't know why. It's crazy.
Like, yes, this guy deletes tweets. This guy's based.
I'm not even joking, man. I deleted them yesterday and I jumped up from 74 to 78. So
Damn.
I don't know why, but it just happens.
It's just sometimes I know you get like people will follow, but if their accounts are like not of interest to you, or the real algorithm doesn't think they'd be an interest of you, they'll never recommend a refollow. So
Okay.
yeah, the same thing works on YouTube. If somebody subs to you, if they're just a no-name account, it won't let you know that they subbed. But if it's like an account you might want to follow back because it's another streamer,
I was wondering that.
Yeah,
because it's been hopping up and down. Like every day I lose 2 or gain 2. It's because I always fight with people, I think, but I never get the notifications.
Yeah, apparently I looked into it one day because I would have the same thing. I'd put a short out, I'd get like 10 subscribers, and I'd be like, yo, what the fuck? I didn't get one single notification. I was like, this is super weird.
YouTube, it does it through if they have their subscription set to public.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I'm pretty sure. But I wouldn't be surprised. Like your channel was like what, 200 subs?
No, 139.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised that after 100, they probably do just cap it to only like important accounts following you.
Yeah, so you don't get everybody. Because man, I couldn't imagine getting like, if you were getting like 1,000 followers a day, your phone would just be like ding 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 ding. It's like, oh my god, shut up.
Yeah.
So
well, I remember I had one viral video on my other account, like my gaming channel.
Oh, nice.
It's got like 110,000 views or something.
Wow, that's pretty good.
But I remember because it was a short, like YouTube shorts.
Oh, yeah.
So you get all of those views in about 3 hours.
Yep.
It doesn't get views again. So I just remember I was just eating dinner, just cooked myself a nice fish and chips, okay, with a little bit of beans on the side. Very British.
Oh, very British.
Yeah, and I fucking just saw my phone just explode, like, cause I have notifications on for YouTube Studio.
Oh yeah, okay.
And oh my god, yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It does feel good, but then you just feel like useless after.
True, yeah, the dopamine hit makes you feel like shit afterwards. You're like, oh fuck, I got one viral video, I gotta do more. What the fuck, where's my other viral videos? Yeah.
It's even kind of annoying. I wish I kind of carried it on, because my last 5 videos got 140,000,
nice.
30,000, 2,000, 266. That's pretty pathetic. And then 1.4 thousand. So if I carried on like weekly videos, I probably could have made like something out of it. But I just could not be bothered to make fucking gaming videos. It's just not my thing.
There in 5 minutes.
You keep going, and I'll follow you after.
Okay, sounds good. Sorry, being needed like a cat. Feels good. Feels good, man. This is what makes the incels mad. So.
Oh man, is that why you hate Nick?
Hell yeah, that guy's weird around sex for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you think he's gay? Is that like a conspiracy?
I think it is a conspiracy. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, man. Nick Fuentes. Hey, can I ask you an actual question? A little bit of a dumb one.
Yeah, go
ahead. Why the fuck are right people like so nice? Like, I feel like I could be really good friends with Nick Fuentes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. Why?
It's part of the allure, right?
No, but I mean, like, why don't lefties do it then?
Because it's okay, I have a theory. I don't know how true it is. I'll tell you my theory, and then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with my human cat here. I think a lot of people don't have safe spaces in life.
Okay.
And I think when they get these communities that are a little bit of safe spaces, they like to exist in them a little, like, fairly insular where nothing can really threaten them. I think the idea of bringing in new people to the space for lefties in those safe spaces is really kind of scary, whether they want to admit it or not. And I think rightoids don't really care about their online spaces in the same way. They're pretty much open to anybody. And they seemingly have a little bit more safe spaces on the outside than I think a lot of lefty spaces do.
Okay.
Because I think there's like,
Fair enough.
yeah, I think especially in the LGBTQ where they kind of feel like they lack safe spaces with like friends and family and stuff, IRL. So
That's fair.
yeah,
I know you've got to go in a sec, but just to hit you with my theory.
okay. Oh yeah, hit it.
I think it's got to do with religion. I
Oh,
think a lot of
interesting.
them are like churchgoers and look, say what you want about religion.
Yep,
It makes good people. It makes good social people.
that is true.
Seeing
Yep,
people every Sunday, it's good. It's good for the soul.
that it is.
So,
Yeah, I think it'd be good
but
for
anyway-
lefties to push that more too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, man, I'm gonna head out.
Alrighty.
And yeah, have a good one. Good chat.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Okay. Peace
Yeah,
out.
have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice. All right, guys. We'll be back in a little bit. Yeah, I'll stop streaming. I'll come back. We'll do it, and then I'll hit the alg twice. We probably might do something else. So, peace, guys. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video and this conversation that I had. If you really enjoy this content and you want to see more of it, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're live usually on YouTube, usually in the mornings and the evenings. Hope to see you there. Thank you.